Welcome to the Modernize or Die podcast, CFML News Edition, where we keep you up to date with everything going on in the Cold Fusion community. We'll share the latest news on events, releases to engines, frameworks, libraries, and tools, as well as spotlighting quality content from the community. Welcome to the Modernize or Die podcast. It is January, can't believe it. Episode 179, January 10th. Welcome and Happy New Year. Daniel, how are you doing?
Oh, Happy New Year. I wish I wasn't having these little tech issues at the last second, but...
Yep, it's always the way. It wouldn't be that easy to just have a nice, peaceful day and everything work right?
I know, right?
We're not in that business.
I'm not going to touch it, and we'll see if it just works.
Yep. Well, thanks for joining me, and thanks for those in the chat. Good to see you guys all. And hopefully you guys had a good New Year. I enjoyed my little vacation, but I'm back, so we'll see what happens. First up, Let's just thank our sponsors, Ortus Solutions, the makers of ColdBox, CommandBox, ForgeBox, TestBox, and all your other boxes out there. You want to say thanks, Dan? How do they do it?
Yes, well, several ways to say thanks back to Ortus Solutions. You can like and subscribe to our videos on YouTube, what you're watching now, probably. You can help Ortus reach for the stars. You can star and fork our repos. Star all our GitHub repos. There's a ForgeBox module out there from Eric that makes it very easy. Just download that, install it, and go. You can subscribe to our podcast on your podcast apps and leave us a review. You can sign up for a free or paid account on CFCasts. We're releasing new content every week. There's, of course, our Box Live store. You can get all sorts of cool merch, shirts, neat stuff. And we have a couple of books you can buy. 102 ColdBox HMVC Quick Tips and Tricks, as well as learn modern CFML in 100 plus minutes.
Yep.
So lots of ways you can support us.
Yeah,
we appreciate each and every one.
Yep. And we also want to thank our admirable Patreon supporters. We have 42 Patreons providing 100% of the funding for the podcast. And obviously you can find out more on our Patreon site, patreon.com/ortussolutions. And we're 37% of the way of funding the ForgeBox.io site, which has all our S3 packages and everything. So thanks to everybody who are supporting us with Patreon. And we'll talk about a little bit more about the perks and thank some of our top Patreons at the end of the show. Okay, so let's get into it. So first up, let's talk about some news and announcements. So we got one here from a security notice by the look of it.
Yeah, it's a security notice for Mura CMS version 10 and Massa CMS greater than version 7. So if you didn't know, Massa CMS is a fork of Mura, and it continues to be open source. But the security notice that are affected by a critical authentication bypass vulnerability, you want to go ahead and patch this. They're not going to disclose the details just yet, but you got 60 days. But we're going to go ahead and paste the links in there and go check it out. And if you are running Mura CMS 10.0, 5.8.0 or greater, or Massa 7.3.10 or greater, please patch.
Yep, for sure. And so it looks like the Massa one is already released. I did see a tweet actually about that too. And obviously security releases should be released free of charge. So if you're running an old Mura, hopefully they'll release that. If not, it might be worth moving over to the Massa CMS if you're not going to continue with Mura as a paid option. I think that this was one of the announcements. I think we got some tweets later on about it. But yeah, if you guys are looking at that, definitely recommend updating to that. 7.3.10, it has been resolved in the Massa. The Mura stuff, we're still waiting for any information on updates there. So you might have to be a paid customer to get that. So if you haven't looked at Massa, they're doing good work, lots of updates, and they're keeping it flowing. So good work there. Okay. Next up, we have some news and new releases and updates. And so this one here is CBWire 2.2 release. Grant's been doing some great work with CBWire, and he's included several edited enhancements. And this one I thought was pretty cool: lifecycle hooks and simplified turbo drive integration. We'll actually be talking about turbo a little bit later in some of Ben Nadal's blog posts. But he said that they changed the previous lifecycle hook of mount to on mount to be consistent, and they squished several bugs, and they've also updated the docs. So we'll be sharing that link here as well for you guys. But yes, CBWire, lots of cool stuff happening with that. Grant's doing a good job with that, and it's exciting to see the progress. So yeah, I want to learn a bit more about it. I haven't used it in a project yet, so I haven't had too much time to play with it. But everything I see looks awesome. His example little repo is really cool.
Yeah,
So,
I think Grant's in the chat today too. So hello, Grant. Thanks for all you do.
yep, for sure. Okay, well, new year, so short and sweet with that. But moving on to webinars, meetups, and workshops. So we have the Ortus calendar, which we have a link for that. And the cool thing about that is we're going to try and keep it up to date. You guys can see stuff as it comes up and as we schedule it. The start of the year means we're up and running and starting to schedule everything. One big change, just want to let everyone know, we're not doing the software craftsmanship book club this week. I've got a personal event going on, and I don't know about my timing, so I don't want to have everyone ready to show up if I'm not able to be there. So we're going to skip the book club this month, but it gives you a little bit more time to read that one. So you guys
or catch up for those of us that missed out.
Yeah, for sure. And there's a couple of videos up on CFCasts on that already. So if you guys want to look at the clean code by Robert Martin or Uncle Bob, that's what we're working on. So it'll be pretty cool.
Yeah.
But
and then, well, that leads into Ortus Fridays are back in full effect for 2023. Just not this Friday, but that's okay. So in case you missed it, we had Ortus office hours last Friday. The next one will be the first Friday in February. We've got the Ortus webinar next week on January 20th. It's going to be CBWire coding session. Let's build an app with CBWire with our own Grant Copley at 11 a.m. Central Time. And so, as you can kind of see, Grant's been doing a lot of great, awesome stuff with CBWire, and is going to show us all how to build an app with it, which is awesome. All the demos I've seen looks really cool. So please sign up for that. And then Coding with the Kiwi, January 27th. The Kiwi, of course, is our very own Gavin, our favorite Kiwi. Followed by, like I mentioned, Ortus Office Hours on February 3rd. And then the Software Craftsmanship Book Club will be back for February 10th.
Yep. So lots of cool stuff coming. Again, we're going to try and do Fridays. Every Friday, we have something planned. And so just keep an eye out here, and we'll keep the tweets flying as well. And then if you guys are watching live, you get the option of attending a Mid Michigan CFUG tonight. Adobe's Ray Camden will be presenting the intro to Alpine.js. Basically, Alpine calls itself the jQuery for the modern web, and if you guys haven't looked at it, it's pretty cool. It's like a Vue Lite. It's one way I like to think about it. You don't need any build processes or anything, just a quick include and go, and it's got a pretty cool little syntax, very similar to Vue, and it's really nice. If you guys are able to make it tonight, it's I believe at 7 p.m. Eastern time. The link is for a team link there, so you guys can check that out. And then they'll be putting up on YouTube later if you do not get it. So if you're not watching live, don't worry, you haven't missed it. They'll be putting it on YouTube soon. So
and Grant just posted Alpine.js works great with CBWire.
Yep, the creator of not CBWire, but all the underlying wire stuff is the same stuff that the same guy wrote Alpine.js. So yeah, they built to work together, and the newer versions, Grant's been working on all the cool stuff, the live wire stuff underneath. It all works great together, so it's pretty dang cool. So I didn't even know they were related until I did the Alpine talk into the box when I learned all that, and I'm like, oh, even better. So very, very cool. So okay, next up, we have CFCasts. So you want to tell us about that?
Absolutely. So a lot of CFCast content updates. As always, CFCasts.com. Some of the recent releases, we have the Into the Box 2022. All videos are released to the subscribers. So initially we had them released to the attendees, but now they're all for everybody. And there are, 30 videos, I think, Gavin? Is that right?
Yeah, at least. I was actually wondering. I think we had 28 sessions at the conference plus the pre-conference. There's probably almost 40 videos. So tons of great content. So yeah, definitely go check that out.
CFCast subscriber, go check some out. I think there might be some free ones too up there. I'm not 100%
we try to do one every day free out of the 12 days of Christmas, so they should be, basically about a third of the videos from the conference are free, so that's pretty cool.
Yeah. And then we've got the 2022 ForgeBox Module of the Week series, as well as the 2022 VS Code Hint, Tip, and Trick series. All those released and updated.
Yeah, and since it's 2023 already, we're going to have to create a new little series for that one. And I think we're almost done releasing 2022s, so we'll have to do the blog post for the start of the year too and wrap up all of those together. So it's kind of cool. You can see just one series with all of them from the year for each of the ForgeBox module and then the VS Code. So we're going to have to update that and get the third one. So 2023 starting fresh.
Nice. And then coming soon, more ForgeBox and VS Code podcast snippet videos, Codebox Elixir from Eric, getting started with Content Box from Daniel. What? Okay.
It's on
I
the
will
list.
be getting started with Content Box. How about that? Brad with more Command Box videos, which are always welcome. Well, everything's always welcome, and then Boxifying a third-party library from Gavin.
Yep, we've been working on these just over the month, so we're gonna start getting them out. I know Brad's done a ton. We're gonna try and get his released here shortly, but everyone else has been working on some too. So that's what we've got planned. If you want to see anything else, let us know. But again, lots of great content coming your way soon on CFCasts. Okay, next up we have conferences and trainings, and we got quite a lot coming up. And CF Summit Online is still going on. So if you guys missed Adobe Fusion Summit live and in person, all the sessions are being streamed online, and it looks like we've got a few more coming up. So one today, later today, basically the modernizing through evolution, not revolution. This is Goose, and he's going to be talking about that. And I heard this was a great session. I missed it at the conference, but he's talking about do you sort of rewrite from scratch? Do you refactor? How do you do it? Evolution, not revolution, and talking about how to sort of counter some of those issues you run into maintaining older code and changing tools along the ways, etc. So I think it'll be really good. I heard a lot of great things about it, so I'm looking forward to that one. But there's a few other people we know talking, right, Dan?
There is. So I'm going to be going on Thursday, easier API development and testing using Postman, Webhook.site, and ngrok to enhance your workflow. That's going to be Thursday at noon Eastern time. So go ahead and check that out. I got to actually, dust off the presentation to make sure my demo works. And I'll be doing that before Thursday to make sure it's a nice, smooth presentation. Followed by on January 17th, we've got leveraging AI cognitive services to be applicable fusion with Michael Hayes. This is another one that I missed. And it seems like AI is popping up everywhere, and it's kind of interesting. And I kind of want to see what he's talking about with CF and AI and all that.
Yeah, the Azure Cognitive Services API. I'm curious what they're doing there. So, yeah, be a good one to see. A lot of great content. We also have another one from Kevin Wright talking about spreadsheet magic. That'll be January the 19th, 12 o'clock Eastern. And then we have another one coming up on the 24th. Masha Edelin and Nick Huntila. That's the opportunities for blockchain technology and NFTs in the real world. So NFTs, I assume that it's meant to be. Just the capitalizations confused me. But yeah, so that's another one coming up. And I know there are a few people that haven't actually got on the schedule yet, myself included. It's been crazy couple of months, so I'm going to try and get mine in there too. But I think there are a few other speakers that are still possibly coming before the end of the month. So you guys can go check it out. CF Summit Online. Sorry,
they've been posting the recordings, right?
I believe they're up on their YouTube channel. Yeah, so I'm not sure if they're completely up to date on that, but that's the plan. They're being releasing them. So if you've missed any, you can go check those out. And the cfsummit-online.meetus.adobeevents.com is where you can find the full website with the schedule and I think the link to the recordings as well. Whew.
Right on. Ooh, lots of good stuff. Moving on, we've got a couple of VueJS events. The first one is the VueJS Nation Conference on January 25th and 26th. We'll go ahead and post that link in there. Followed by VueJS Amsterdam 2023, February 9th and 10th, in Amsterdam. Call for papers and blind tickets are available now, although I think they'd probably be wrapping that up soon if it's coming up in like a month.
I think the call for speakers might be finishing here really soon. So if you want to speak, you better hurry. Otherwise, if you guys are in the area, it might be a great conference to go to. We also have Dev Nexus coming up April 4th through the 6th. I know that they've released some of the speakers up on the site. I'm not sure if the full schedule is out yet, but that one is going to be happening in Atlanta, so April 4th through the 6th. So We usually have Brad and Luis spoken at in previous years. I know that we submitted a bunch of content, so we're all just seeing who's going to be speaking, if anyone in our group. So I'd be curious to see. But I've heard it's a great conference, a lot of great stuff there, tons of tracks, lots of fun.
Yep. And after that, we have another VueJS conference, VueJS Live. It's online and in London on May 12th and 15th. Code, Create, Communicate. I think, is this the one that they had in Florida last year? And now they're doing it online?
Um,
Does that
I'm not
sound right?
sure. I think that was the VueJS US, which I think is after. They have a few different ones. There's quite a few around. They're all very very similarly named, and I get confused. But um, yeah, I think it was the VueJS Conf. So I don't. Yeah, I don't think it was this one, but I know that this one was a really big conference, a lot of people, and yeah, it sounds like they're hoping to have about 10,000 people joining it globally. So that's one that you can do in person and online. So pretty cool. And then right after that, we have Into the Box 2023, the 10th edition.
Woohoo!
And since everyone enjoyed their holidays so much, we decided to give everyone a little bit more time to fill out their call for speakers. So we've extended it to January 31st. We want a few more people submitting so we can, choose the topics. Some of the usual, I don't know what we want to call them. Usual speakers. Will be nice and say speakers.
Suspects.
Yeah,
Usual
so
suspects.
that's what I was going to say. That sounds bad. But yeah, so some of the usual suspects haven't submitted yet, so we'll send out some reminders there. But we're also looking for new speakers too. So put your name in the hat, put in some options of ideas of what you'd like to speak about, and then yeah, get those in. We want to announce workshops and sessions as soon as we can. That's always a goal, so you guys can start planning your travel, because it is May 17th through the 19th. So it's a Wednesday through Friday, middle of May. So basically, you guys can all do your Mother's Day celebration and then fly out to Houston to give them some peace and quiet. So we're looking forward to it.
Yep.
And
As you mentioned, we're still finalizing some workshops. If you have ideas for workshops you want to throw out there, now's the time to let us know as well. We can take into consideration.
yep. So we're just making those decisions. So everyone's back from holiday. We're going to start getting to ITB mode at Ortus, and so we'll be letting you know. But yeah, definitely, we love the feedback. Last time we put some Twitter polls up. Maybe we'll do the same this year, or some Facebook polls, or email the list and see. But if you're going to be there, we want to know from you, because if somebody wants a certain topic but they're not even going to be there, it's not quite as important. So if you think you're going to attend and there's a workshop you'd like to attend, please let us know. We want to make it a big success. And our 10th one, it's going to be a doozy. And then CFCamp is back after the COVID battles. CFCamp is back June 22nd to the 23rd at the Marriott Hotel Munich Airport in Freising. The call for speakers should be coming up soon. We're looking out for that. And you can find out more on the cfcamp.org site. And I'll be updating that as we go. So a lot of cool stuff there. A lot of great conferences happening. And then if you guys have any other conferences you'd like to recommend, let us know. Because we obviously have a lot of Java ones and some Vue.js stuff, but if there's other things you think we should be looking at, if there's React ones or something else, let us know and we can add them to the list too.
Yep, and we've got the conf.tech site, huge list of conferences from us, any language or community, as well as this GitHub link, which I don't think I've seen, Gavin. Developer conferences agenda. What is that?
Yeah, so it's basically a GitHub link that people have put out there. I'm going to try and share my screen for those watching. So we'll see if that works today. And so it's a agenda list, and so basically just has a ton of dates. And so you can see when the call for speakers ends and stuff like that. So they've got all this different information about these upcoming conferences. And so there's just a lot of them, and so it's a really nice list of them. But yeah, check it out.
There for May?
Probably not. I don't think we've added
well,
ourselves
we got it to
yet.
do.
Nope, we haven't put that in the air. But yeah, so it's just one of those things where it's just a ton and people are adding them in here. But they're really tech focused, and just a lot of good information. So
I like how they have the CFPs listed and the deadlines for them.
yeah, that's sort of one of the things that the TechConf doesn't do quite the same. But I guess I'll share for those who haven't seen that before either.
Well, yeah, let's get another box up there.
Yeah, and so you can search for in person or online, and then as you go through, you can see a lot of them. They do have some of the deadlines in there. They got links to code of conduct. It's a pretty nice site too. I like it because if you're looking for a particular technology, you can get in here and select them. I know we did have CFML in here, so if we just need to make sure we add the, you know, add our conferences in here, and you can actually add a conference, do that, and they also have the call for paper links too. So call for papers here. People can have it, and they have like the deadlines and stuff too. So it's kind of nice. So it's a cool little site again. If you're looking for conferences to attend or maybe to speak at, it's a good way to go. Okay, so with that done, that leads us up to blogs, tweets, and videos of the week. And we got a few here from Ben and Dal. So let me jump into the first one. And then a couple of these are related, so I'll talk about them a little bit. So in this first one here, or the most recent one, shall we say, the Hotwire Turbo Drive requires failed form submissions to return a non-200 status code. So Ben was doing some work and using Hotwire and Cold Fusion, and he's been having some interesting, adventures, shall we say. And so in the previous one, he was having trouble with, working with CFM files in Hotwire, but he's been, just sort of exploring that. And so this one talks about how, you need to give the non-200 status for a failure from that. But it's kind of cool because, yeah, it just sort of does the hot reloading. It's kind of the pretty interesting piece. And so he's got this this Hotwire example here up on GitHub if you want to try it out. But yeah, I just thought it was pretty cool. I know that CBWire is using some turbo stuff as well, and the most recent release talked about that. But so Ben's walking through some of this stuff in here. So that was the first article. We'll tell you a little bit more as we move down. But you got another one for us?
Yeah, well, we've got the as we kind of mentioned earlier, CBWire 2.2 is released. We'll get the blog entry out there for you. I'm sorry, Gavin, I apparently did not.
That's okay.
I have a problem, people. When Gavin talks, I just kind of get like lured is the wrong adjective for it, but I just get entranced, and then I forget to post links to these things. So if the links are late, that's on me. I'm sorry. But anyway, as we mentioned, CBWire 2.2 is released, and we're all very excited about it. It includes several changes, new lifecycle hooks simplified, the turbo drive integration. The docs have been updated. If you go to cbwire.ortusbooks.com, you can see they've all everything there you want to know. Grant is in the chat. You can ping him, say, way to go, Grant, good job. Or if you have any questions, you can do that too. Also, there's on the Box Team Slack, there is a CBWire channel in there. If you're playing around and have some questions, you can ping them there as well. But yeah, and don't forget, January 20th, it's going to be Grant and CBWire as for the January webinar. So please sign up.
Yep, and Grant's also been doing some work on, sort of like a roadmap and everything. So in the Ortus community site here, he's been basically laying out some of the things he's thinking about working on or might want to work on, or if you got any recommendations, jump in there. So, he wants to make it as valuable as possible to the community. And so he's talking about stuff like WebSockets, Fire Pusher, etc. So if you guys have anything extra in there that you want to do or check it out, go jump into that. So we'd like the
WebSockets, Grant says.
Yep. So yeah, lots of cool stuff possibly planned, but he wants the feedback so we can continue to work on that.
Now, is Grant saying WebSockets is planned, or that's what he wants to do next?
Well, it says he's going to be continuing to work on that, but yeah, we may be doing some more stuff too. Okay. Well, next up we have a couple more from Ben, and so Ben was also working on some like a code kata too. So he's recursively flattening a deep array in Cold Fusion. He looked at flattening an array in Cold Fusion as well. So this one, he's using variadic functions and basically a little bit more brain thingy stuff. So yeah, like it's one of those things where Ben dives into something and he's like, let me go a little deeper. So the first article, which is right here, flattening an array in Cold Fusion, was a nice little example walking through. And so he wanted to sort of go and figure out how to recursively flatten the deep array using the nested array elements. So I thought this was a really cool one. Again, I'm just getting back from my holiday, so my brain is starting to work again. But this one looks like a nice one. I like the fact that you can, throw it in here and really get deeper. So, um, yeah. The cool thing is that JavaScript has the solutions for most of these things already. There's so many things there. So, but he walks through it, and it's kind of cool that he takes something here where you can see an array, an array, an array, and then basically, if you go down multiple dips, just keep squishing them until they're all in one level. So, I really like this. Now I know we had a collections, a CB collections module that Eric was supporting. I wonder if it had some of these functions in here, because it's kind of like did a lot of the underscore thing. So kind of curious, but really cool example and working through. And if you want to,
Eric just said yes, it did.
it did. Cool. See,
Eric.
So yeah, so it's cool. And
It did, and it does.
Yeah, the code kata type approach to things is kind of cool. And if you guys, even if there is something out there that does it, sometimes it's good just to test yourself and make yourself think outside the box a little bit there, and that's kind of cool. So we have those two articles there, and then we also have iterating over function arguments in the CF loop. So Ben really was busy. Everyone else is taking a holiday. Ben said, "Oh, well, I got time. I'm going to write some blog articles." So that was really cool. So he was also, talking about iterating over those functions in a CF loop, function arguments. And so his previous post on flattening arrays, he also looked at, the scope of the function body acts as an array and a struct, which I thought was interesting too. But yeah, so basically he just works with a different example and shows you how you can loop over something as an array, but also as far as if it treat it like a struct. So you can struct of arguments or an array of arguments, and you can loop over it both ways, which I didn't know that. I guess that's kind of strange. Have you ever messed with that? I mean, I've always done the structs thing, but I guess I didn't think that you could do that with the arrays. Interesting.
Yeah, I didn't either.
So, yeah, that's kind of interesting. I didn't know it acted that way. So that was news to me. I know that there's a lot of scopes in Cold Fusion, and some of them behave very differently than other scopes. And even though something looks like a struct, it might not actually be a struct. And so, very interesting.
It's one of those things where it works one way in Lucy, but well, yeah, he's doing it in Lucy. Never mind.
Yeah, well, there's definitely possibilities of being different on a different engine. So, but again, interesting. Not sure, again, it's one of those things you sort of play around with and learn. But so Ben had quite a few ones there. Now back to the turbo one.
Scott just chimed in that no, both will work. He believes.
Interesting. Yeah, like I said, I'm wondering why you'd want to loop through as an array versus struct. I guess if you don't know the key names, I guess you could just use the key names, get the key names and go from there. But interesting. And then this is the one where he talks about Hotwire Turbo Drive doesn't work with a CFM page extensions. So basically, there's a GitHub issue about it and everything else. It does more Ajaxifying the interactions, and so this is where it led to his other articles. So, he was sneaky. He changed all the CFM extensions to be HTML and then rewriting them underneath with command box server. Sneaky.
That bad.
Yeah, so that's how he did it. Because I was reading this, I read the first one saying how it didn't work or whatever, just the intro, and then I got to the other one. I was like, oh, very cool.
Well, we've got some stuff, good stuff going on in the chat. Eric mentioned that if you only want the items, I assume he's talking about what we were talking about before. And then Scott commented that he learned that from Brad. Of course, positional allows you to have non-named items, and he gives an example in the chat.
Yeah, no, I have seen that where with that just basically numbers them, but I thought they were still struct. I guess that still works. So interesting. But yeah, so this was kind of cool. Like I said, the turbo stuff. A lot of people have been talking about turbo, how it's going to take over the world. It's going to improve everything. So interesting to see people playing. It's like AI right now. It's kind of the hot thing that everyone's talking about. So very cool. And then we had one more thing. Apparently the Working Code podcast was talking about something, and Zach responded. And I'd never heard of, well, hadn't seen it this way, but basically the Lucy is a script runner, and I know we can tie into that a few different ways, but basically you can run an application with it. You can run different bits of code through the script runner, and so it's kind of cool. And which I thought was interesting. Zach gave some examples here, but basically how you could just build a file, use the execute, and this is all GitHub Actions stuff, right? I think so. Yep, so this is GitHub Actions. The Lucy Docs builder actually uses this. So under the hood, it uses their little script runner. And so you can run all these different things. And it's kind of cool that you can actually basically build all the files. And yeah, basically do like little CI stuff with the script runner from here. So a lot of people using GitHub Actions, and it's something I need to learn a bit more about. So it's kind of cool that we could just tie straight into that without having to go and run specific Docker images or anything else if we need to. So,
yeah, Scott commented that Turbo's been around for a while. I don't think I really even know what Turbo is, to be honest. I've heard it mentioned, but I don't know what it is. What is it, Gavin?
Well, I mean, I thought it was like part of the
but
yeah. No, I thought it was part of the the whole Livewire reloading and everything else, and it's like Basecamp is one that we're working with Turbo, and so that's why Scott has been in Rails for a while. But it just seems like they did something recently, which I don't know what they did with it, but it just apparently like speed, performance, and everything. Oh yeah, so it fetches the next page with Ajax and then replaces the body. So yeah, so maybe there's something else that got the Turbo name recently too. So Eric's saying you'd have to repass CSS and JavaScript files, etc. So that makes sense. But so it must be maybe there's another Turbo thing, another Turbo builder. Everything gets confusing when they start using the same names in different places. But maybe that's what I was thinking of. There's a Turbo build tool. Maybe that's what I was thinking.
I don't know. Is this like another cool thing that's coming that we should learn, or just a cool thing that's out there that it's?
So Turbo Build. I was thinking it was related to that. So no, Turbo Build is an implementable bundler and build system optimized for JavaScript and TypeScript written in Rust. So I was just getting confused. So there we go.
Turbo links.
Yeah.
Maybe this could be an into the box session from somebody.
Yeah, I think the TurboWire is based on the Livewire stuff. And yeah, Grant has been talking about using it in CBWire, so lots of wire stuff going on, lots of cool, interesting stuff. So, but yeah, so Ben has all those cool blog posts, and there's a couple other things there as well. So, very cool.
Well, my takeaway is I'm going to ask Grant about it later because he does a really good job of explaining things to me.
Yep. Okay. Well, I was going to post that link, but it disappeared. So. We'll have to.
Which one? I posted the script runner.
Oh, okay. It just disappeared from the notes. So I was like, where'd it go?
Oh,
okay.
Did I do that?
So next up, we'll do find a job. So looks like we got some new ones up on CFML jobs, but pretty quiet over the Christmas time, right, Daniel?
Yeah. Well, it's always the holidays. Really, between Thanksgiving and New Year's, things are getting a little slower. But there are several positions at getcfljobs.com. Over 39 CF positions from 25 companies across 22 locations in 5 countries. So one new job listed this week. It's full-time for a CF developer. It's remote for the United Kingdom. And we'll get the link out there for you.
Yep.
I thought there was another one that I must have missed putting in here. Nolan was hiring somebody.
Yep, and that's listed right below there. So obviously Ortus is hiring as usual, but we also have that one from South of Chester. So I'll open that one up real quick. I was already sharing my screen, so they got a quick sneak peek of the show notes. But yep, so CFML developer wanted, steady work for at least the next 3 months, and longer if it goes well. But they're looking for that, and yeah, the offices are based in Sacramento and the UK. So. Yeah, but they're basically saying that they need to be more on more of a part-time person that's not working a full-time job and has to go out to the parking lot to take the calls. So it is the time does matter. So and ColdBox experience is a must. They're using ColdBox 6 and the several modules of the ForgeBox system. So yeah, So command box, Docker, MySQL 8. So a cool little group of technologies there. So hopefully you guys can, help Nolan find the right person.
Yeah, absolutely. I posted those links in there.
Very cool. Okay. So next up, we have our ForgeBox module of the week, and this is an oldie but a goodie. And I thought we should remind people that it still should be one of the top packages you use for a lot of different reasons. You want to tell us why?
Oh yeah, commandbox.env, or should me, I would probably pronounce it .env, so you guys can make fun of me. But storing secrets and source control files is a bad idea, but we still need a way to provide those sensitive credentials or config values to our projects. Put them in an env file, environment variables. This is something I actually didn't really use much of until I joined Ortus, and once I started, I'm like, why haven't I been doing this all my career?
Yep. And
Um,
just so everyone knows, I'm sharing my screen, so I'm highlighting the thing that says, do not commit it to source control. Add it to your get ignore immediately. If you search Google for .env files, you will find so many people who have committed their .env files, and they've got database passwords and credentials to all sorts of stuff, which hopefully they've rotated since then, but it's
yeah,
ridiculous how many people do it. So all of our templates always have a get ignore with .env file. You should use a .env example to have everything except for your secrets in it. And then, yeah. Anyway, I just want to highlight and remind everybody of that because it happens way too often. So,
yes, it does. I feel like that should be a webinar or one of these days, just common sense in modern web development. And that'd be like the first thing. Use env files and don't commit them to your repo.
yeah. And Grant was like, oh, wow, I figured Google would have or should have hoped Google would have blocked the .env searches. And they may haven't since. Grant. But I think, yeah, for a long time
But
you could search for .env files or just search for like password and it would show up so many. But yeah,
well,
it's
Word
kind of
of Game
crazy.
allows you to do it.
Yep. So, but yeah, it's a great tool for sure. And like one of those things when you're working on multiple projects and you want to have your your password set up. And I don't know how many times people would have it where they'd upload their repo, whatever, and someone else would pull it down, and then they'd have a different password for their database server locally than someone else, and then stuff would all be messed up. And so yeah, it's really nice to be able to have your own set up, your own configuration in a .env, and that way, everyone sets it. When it goes to different server environments, it can update as well. And if you're using Docker or whatever, then the compose files will provide the .env, the env stuff for you, so you don't have to use a .env in production, which is nice.
Yeah.
So
And I'll give props. John kind of commented in the chat. He and I used to work together at my last company. He did bring this to the team and said, hey, we should be using environment variables. At the time, we weren't in a good situation where that was easily doable. So we kind of tabled it. So I didn't really at the time, but now I joined Ortus and it's like, whoa, where's this been all my life?
yep,
I
exactly.
said that a lot when I first joined Ortus.
Well, it's one of those things, like if you're trying to use, .env files in an old traditional Lucy setup, it just doesn't work the same. You don't need it, once you're on a traditional
Yeah.
server install, you add the data source, you're done. But yeah, the more you're switching between stuff, the more you're, going to more towards Docker containerization and being able to deploy all over and run CIs for your tests and everything. Just certain things become more difficult without something like that. So yeah. But also John said that GitHub does actually warn people when they submit env files, or so he's told. But
Hmm.
so yeah, so that's good. People are aware that it's a big deal. But it's really cool, and I really like the fact that we can Mailbox too. If you have more than one site running, it doesn't load them into your normal .env, your normal environment variables. Like if you have something called, DB password on your machine, normally you could add an environment called DB password, but that means your password would have to be the same for all your databases, or you'd have to have different names for all of them. So this basically makes it local to that site and that site only. So
Yeah. I also like how if so you have the env example file with all that you should have. Sometimes you're working with the repos with other developers, and maybe they add something and you don't have it. You try to start your site, it's going to flag you and block you from starting the site if you're missing an environment variable that it thinks you should have, meaning it's in the example file but not in your env file.
yeah,
So that's pretty handy. I ran into that again yesterday when I was updating a site. It's like, oh, looks like I need to add this.
yep. And this was cool too that you have the .env check, and you can have the reverse function, and you can put these into your Git hooks as well. So that way you can actually, before before you start. That's what you just talked about. But you can also do it before you commit, before you check out. Sorry, after you check out and after you merge. So just basically make sure that you've got all those. And some people do turn the server check off, but trust me, it's nice that if you go to start a server and it's not working, you don't know why. It's nice to have a warning beforehand saying, you shouldn't start the server. You're missing stuff that it needs to run. So
Yep.
anyway, there's a lot of cool stuff in here. I know Eric did a lot of work on it, and Brad's done a lot of integration with Command Box, and other people have added things too. So really cool. Highly recommend using it. And even if you're not using Docker, it doesn't mean you can't use it. It's still good for a lot of things. So, and remember, we have good tie-ins inside of CodeBox to pull properties from your Java settings, your .env files, etc. So it's even cool for in development. Hey, I want to use this email address to send my emails to instead of the normal ones, etc. So
I'm still finding cool things. Like I had no idea that I can just set some box server environment variables and they'll be picked up automatically by the server instead of going into a command box server JSON file and specifying things. And so yeah, that's good stuff.
yeah, and John brings up another good point. .env files, they work with Vue projects. They work with a lot of different languages, not just something we're doing. It's a lot of languages are doing it. So yep, it's sort of the standard way to do things. So definitely a good thing to use. We have our VS Code hint, tip, and trick of the week, and this is a newer one, but I wanted to spotlight it because I thought it looked pretty cool. And basically, it's filtered directories. Now, I know in VS Code you can already, start typing and you can sort of filter a folder, but what this one allows you to do is actually go and select a folder and then say add to my filtered view. And so under filtered view, it'll just show the pieces of the site that you actually want to jump to. So maybe you're working on a site and you've got some handlers and some views, but there's all this other stuff in between. You can actually just add those two folders into your filtered view, and then you'll be able to easily jump between them. And so if you've got a huge site and you're only caring about 2 different folders or 3 different folders, you could just add them into that list, and then that way under your filtered folders, you'll just see the ones you actually care about. So it's kind of nice, and it doesn't mean you have to keep typing every time. You can just say, these folders are the ones I care about in the site, and just got a nice, easy way to view them. So pretty simple, but again, sometimes the best ones are that simple, right? So, yep, it's called filter or filtered directories. Yeah, again, pretty simple, and just one of those things I saw on Twitter. I'm like, ooh, that's kind of a cool idea. So
yeah, I wonder if there's like a point. There's tons of cool extensions of VS Code, so I wonder, is there a point where you can have too many, where it slows things down, or
yeah, and to be honest, it depends on what the filter, or what the extension is doing. So I know a lot of them, you've got linters and formatters, and you've got all these different things. For a lot of the Cold Fusion one, it scans all your components, so it can try and give you some, autocomplete stuff and some
insights,
metadata and everything else, and so it has to scan your file. So if your sites are huge, or you just have it where you open your www folder and there's a million sites in there, and you put a bunch of extensions that is actively watching files and everything else, then it can become an issue, I think. But it all depends on which ones you're using, and usually if you're using too many that do the same things, that's where you get issues. But it's good every once in a while just go turn off a few things and then basically work without them, and then you're like, oh man, I really missed this. I'll go turn it back on. Because sometimes I don't even know which extension is doing what, because there's so many great ones out there, but you kind of get confused about which one's doing what. So yes, maybe a little task. Turn them all off and then see which ones you miss, and then go turn those back on. But there are definitely a lot of cool ones, and just stuff like this, it's a pretty cool little feature. So hopefully you guys enjoy that one too. And then, John was saying workspaces with multiple projects loaded. Yeah, that's sort of the thing. If you have a workspace with a lot of them, that can be an issue. The other thing too is when you're sharing, like LiveShare shares the workspace. If you have multiple sites, you can put them all in one workspace. It makes it easy to share, but then there's way more files in that workspace. So depends. If you got more monitors, you just have more VS Code windows. But
I guess I only ever limit one site per workspace for some reason. That just makes more sense to me. But
yeah, I mean, if you got like an API and a front end, it makes sense to have both folders in there, I think, depending on how you set your stuff up anyway. But yeah, a lot of times I basically just open folders. So with the workspaces, it helps. So okay, well, last but not least, let's thank our Patreons. So these individuals are the ones that are personally supporting our open source initiatives to ensure great tools that we build at Ortus, like CommandBox, ForgeBox, ColdBox, ContentBox, TestBox, and all the other boxes out there. And these supporters help make sure that they get the development they need and the funds for the cloud infrastructure that the community relies on, like ForgeBox, which helps, basically the back end of our package management with CommandBox. And so we appreciate each and every one of them. I know there's a lot of other people that obviously support us, but these people are using their own hard-earned money, so it's great that they can do that. And so you can check us out at patreon.com/ordersolutions. But why don't you tell us about some of the perks of being a Patreon?
Oh, yeah. Well, don't forget, we do have annual memberships. You pay for the year and save 10%, which is great for businesses, but also great for anybody that wants to save 10%. So bronze packages and up, you now get a ForgeBox Pro and a CFCast subscription as a perk for the Patreon subscription. All Patreon supporters have a profile badge on our community website. All supporters have a private forum on the community website. All Patreon supporters have their own private channel access to the Box Team Slack. If you're not on Box Team Slack, you should get on there and, come chat with us. And then you also get, as an exclusive, live stream access to streams like Coding with the Kiwi and Friends, which will be later this month, and the Ortus Software Craftsmanship Book Club, which will not be this month, but will be back in February. So if you go to community.ortussolutions.com for more information.
Yep, so go check that out. Even if you're not a Patreon, there's a lot of great content there. But if you are, you get a little extra. So very cool. But we want to thank our top Patreons. So again, we got to the point where we're just too many Patreons, so we're just going to thank our top ones, but you guys are all important. We thank all of you. We appreciate you, but thank you especially to John Wilson from Synaptrix, Tomorrow's Guides, Jordan Clark, Gary Knight, Mario Rodriguez, Giancarlo Gomez, David Bellinger, Dan Card, Jeffrey McGee, Dean Wander, Nolan Irk, and Abdul Raheen. So thank you guys. You are our top Patreons, and we thank you. And to all our other Patreons, you're important as well, and we really want to say thank you. We do appreciate it. And we're hope to see you guys at Into the Box coming up soon, and we'll see you guys at Ortus Fridays.
Yeah, see ya.
Have a great one, everybody. Show notes for this episode can be found at cfmlnews.modernizeordie.io, where you can also subscribe to your favorite podcast player like Spotify or iTunes. We also have the link to YouTube to find more videos just like this. The music used in this podcast is under a royalty-free license from Sound.com and Blue Tree Audio.